Hi, welcome to the start of a new vlog. My name's Peyton, and this vlog I am pretty excited about because I feel like I've done a themed type of reading vlog for a while now. This month I really want to try, the next 2 months, I really want to try hard to just read from my own physical TBR. Not buy any more books. The only book I have on my radar purchasing is in April, and that is Lee Bardugo's new book, so until then, no more books, because I've been kind of a heathen. But I'm having a little bit of a book hangover. I just finished Priory of the Orange Tree, and I loved it. I really loved it, and I miss the characters a lot, but I'm not ready to start another high fantasy series just yet. Can't decide what to read, so I'm just gonna pick whatever jumps out at me, and I thought it'd be fun to bring you along for a mood reading type of vlog. I saw Aspen on Aspen's Archives do this recently, and I thought it would be fun to do just because I am such a mood reader and I haven't done a non-themed video in a while. The book I'm going to start with, which I think will be a nice, hopefully nice, palette cleanser, is Butcher and Blackbird by Bryn Weaver. This is everywhere. I've seen this everywhere, and it sounds really fun. It's about 2 serial killers who kill serial killers. I heard it described as Dexter fanfiction, which take that as you will. It's about 2 killers, rival killers, Sloane and Rowan, and they decide to make a bet to kill this very elusive killer that no one has been able to get, just for the title of being the best, I think. I could be wrong, but I have the audiobook as well. I've heard the audiobook is far superior than to just reading it physically, so I have a bunch of stuff to do leading up to my wedding. I have to clean, and I have to go get my nails done, so I think I'll just be listening to this when I'm doing all of that, and then just reading when I just finally can sit down for a second. But this is the book we are going to be starting with for this vlog, and I'm excited. I'm very curious. Again, this is so well loved right now. I don't know. TikTok's let me down before. We'll see. But I'm starting off with that, and I'll check y'all later. Hi, we're in my kitchen. I'm making sweet potato fries. It's that kind of night. Nails are done for the wedding. You cannot see them. Nails are done. A little update on Butcher and Blackbird. I'm on chapter 8. I don't know how I feel about this, you guys. You know what I think? I think it's mainly the writing. It's not great, and it's I can't even like describe it. I don't like the dialogue because they use like, "Oh, your tits, man," or like it's like cooties, ew, boy germs. I'm just like, how old are we? 12? And she's supposed to be a 23-year-old high-end serial killer. Hasn't been caught. The FBI are too stupid to know who she is. I could barely get through the day without having a panic attack when I was 23, and she's like this FBI most wanted elusive murderer. What? Anyway, yeah, it's been like a couple years, so she's like 25, but still. Sloane and Rowan are both higher end serial killers, and they both have names. Like, he's the Butcher, I think, and she's called the Orb Weaver because she takes her victim's eyes and like weaves like string webs with like clues from her other murders to connect her. I don't know. And it's just like you definitely have to suspend reality. It's just like the crimes that they're talking about committing, because like they're like operating like Dexter. Like, they are vigilante serial killers who they have urges and to kill, and so they kill other serial killers, and they just so happen to meet each other and be friends and tease each other and all this stuff. So it's, I think, which all sounds great and fun and something I would really be interested in. I think it's just the writing is like driving me nuts, and it just feels really juvenile. I haven't listened to the audiobook. It's fine. I think the only reason people say that it's superior is because Rowan is Irish and there's a guy with an Irish accent reading, so I think that's maybe why. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying that might be why. I thought it was going to be like high production value or something. So far, I'm feeling like this just isn't for me. Like, it's a little too cringy. Like, so much that I don't know if I can get past it, and I don't think the writing's very good. I'm gonna keep going. I'm making dinner, and like I want to like just get I do want to know what all the fuss is about. It's like maybe it picks up. I don't know. Like I said, I'm only on chapter 8. We'll report back. And also, I don't know if this changes, but having really everyone described as beautiful, hot, sexy, attractive, except the bad type of serial killers. Only the good type of serial killers can be hot and sexy. Yeah, because obviously only the bad type of serial killers can be ugly. I'm having fun. I am having fun. I can't lie. I am having fun with how absolutely ridiculous this is. I'm just not, at least not yet, blown away. Wow, this is like a treasure read. Yeah, it's just funny. It's funny. Okay, it's funny. All right. Hello, it has been a few days. I'm now married. I don't have my ring on, but because I'm making cookies, but I did finish Butcher and Blackbird mainly on audio, and I will say that the audiobook performance and the two main leads were like pretty good. And that's the only positive thing I have to say about this book. Don't get it. I don't see it. I don't get it. I don't know why this is so popular. I mean, help me out here. To be honest, I did think that this was gonna not be for me within the first like 30 pages. You know, I enjoyed like the first half of the book, like somewhat, like their banter was kind of funny. And the second half of the book is just mainly smut. And then I just got sick of it. And if this is what dark romance is, oh, mom's calling me. Okay, I'm back. My mom called. Yeah, I don't get it. I'm trying to look at this more. Hold on, let me switch this. I had a comment from someone that I should be looking at you guys more, and yeah, I guess I'm just still getting used to talking to the camera. It's not an easy thing for me to do. It's not a natural thing to do. Me, I really didn't like this book. It's getting maybe 1 star just because there were parts in the beginning of the book that like were funny and kind of it made me laugh, and like I felt like I was having a fun time. The two main characters just drove me nuts. So narcissistic, full of themselves. I didn't really like how Rowan was like her white knight and always rescued her, but she's supposed to be one of the best serial killers ever that's never needed anyone. It's just like, oh my god. Yeah, and it felt like their friendship and relationship, the chemistry was not there, and it felt like these big time jumps at least in the first part of the book, like really a lot of it happened off page, and it really felt underdeveloped for me reading it, and I didn't have fun. I didn't have fun after a certain point when it just turned to smut. I swear if I had to read or listen to the words, I don't know if I can say it. I'm just gonna put it right here. If I had to hear that one more time, I was gonna throw this book. Like, I don't get it, y'all. Maybe this is how everyone felt about Fourth Wing, and I didn't get on that train. I loved Fourth Wing. So maybe this is just the other side of that. Because I don't get this at all. Where, like, if I had to hear Sloane say, "You're the worst." Like, these are supposed to be intelligent people, right? It's just, like, oh my god. I couldn't. I will not be continuing this series. I do not think this is for me. I'm not trying to poo-poo on everyone's fun party, but, like... I'm looking at my notes. The plot was just boring. After a certain point, it was just boring. Like, them meeting up yearly, and then him usually having to save her. And even when she's trying to help, or save him. And, like, the ending was just, like, stupid. I did write this. My biggest mistake was not DNFing this book. It sounded really fun, but it just really wasn't fun. It was a cool idea for a book, but it was just not good. So, thank you, BookTube and Book Talk. I hated it. This is a mood reading vlog. The next thing I picked up is Silver Under Nightfall by Rin Shipeko. I just love this cover. I have not seen this book anywhere. I haven't seen it anywhere. I haven't seen anyone talk about it. The cover is so sick. That's what drew me in, but I'd never heard of this. I'd never heard of this author. And this is their first adult. The author, Rin Shipeko, wrote several speculative young adult series. But this is their first adult fantasy. And you know what? I sat happily in bed last night and read 70 pages. It was easy. I was flying. I was interested. I was invested. This has been really fun so far. So reading 70 pages in one sitting before I went to bed, that's a good sign, right? This is cool. And I didn't see this. I missed this part on the back. It says, full of court intrigue, queer romance, and terrifying monsters, this epic fantasy will appeal to fans of Samantha Shannon's The Priory of the Orange Tree and the adult animated series Castlevania. and I just read Priory and I loved it, and I've had a book hangover from it, but I can totally see those two comparisons quite a lot, as well as a little bit of Bloodborne. Maybe because I'm playing Bloodborne again, I'm getting those vibes, but there's a lot of, especially in the beginning, there's a big fight, a really well-written fight scene with Remy, the main character, and they have this weapon called Breaker. That's like the double-sided scythe blade, which has all these different compartments and it can expand and contract. This reminded me of weapons on Bloodborne, and they have to take this thing called... He's a vampire hunter, so hold on. I will get into the plot in a second, but I want to look this up. Bloodwaker. It kind of acts as like an HP restorative and stamina restorative, and it just heightens the senses and accelerates one's reflexes, enabling them to hold their own against the strongest vampires. So that's kind of why I'm getting the game Bloodborne vibes, because mid-fight, like before a fight, he takes Bloodwaker, and then like midway through the fight or whatever, he takes it to be a stronger opponent against vampires. That's so cool. Silver Over Nightfall is about the son of a Remy Pendergast. Pendergast is the main character in this. He's the only son of the Duke of Valenbon, who he's like a miserable old man, and he used to be like this elite vampire hunter, and he's kind of turned into this like miserable person because he can't fight anymore, and he's really hard on Remy because it is alleged that Remy's mother ran off with a vampire while she was pregnant with Remy, and she may have been turned before he was born, so there's speculation that Remy is a half human, half vampire, which is one of the worst things you can be in this world besides an actual vampire. He's kind of treated really poorly by the rest of they're called Reapers. The rest of the vampire hunters, they're called Reapers. He's kind of treated poorly, kind of as an outcast. He's kind of in the high society and the courts that are introduced in this world, Illyria. He has like a pretty lonely life. Like the perfect comparison, because there's a lot of politics and court intrigue, as well as like vampire hunting, like in Castlevania, and like the flair of the characters in that. In this world, there are 8 courts of vampires. 2 of them have been destroyed, that have been taken down by the vampire hunters in this world. But there is a new treaty involving between the humans and the vampires in this world. Because humans are kind of, the ones who are like in high society, rich, don't really have anything to worry about. But the ones who are in the villages are the ones that are suffering the most from vampire attacks. I'm bringing this up because the villages on the outside of the city, there is a new breed of vampire that has been discovered. They're slowly talking about it now. It's a new discovery right now. There's been talks about it, but everyone seems to ignore it or sweep it under the rug because everyone wants this alliance to go through with the third court. So no one is really caring about these really awful attacks by this, described like a mutant vampire. Remy is deciding to investigate on his own. That's where I'm at so far, is he's really curious about what's going on and reading like some reports that the higher up officials aren't taking very seriously. I'm really interested so far. Really cool world building. Characters and the setting are really cool. The world building writing is really good so far. So I don't want to say high hopes because I don't want to jinx it, but I have some hope that this will be an entertaining and good book. But I will report back. Hi! It's been a couple days since I last updated you all. So I'm about halfway through Silver Under Nightfall. This is so much fun. This is a blast to read. I've been really busy with work, so I haven't read as much as I usually do or wanted to, because I keep thinking about this when I'm not reading it, but I plan to finish this very soon. I'm trying to remember the last thing I told y'all. This new mutation of vampire, the mutation they're calling in this they're calling the rot. When a vampire turns that's been infected with the rot, it makes them this makes them like this super vampire. 4 times their original size in height and width and weight. Their stuff happens to their face, their fangs come down to like their chest, and they're just like killing machines. Remy, the main character, pairs up with, her name's Zayden Song, who is the fiance of the second court lord, Zidane Maliketh, and he is immediately drawn to both of them. He actually meets Zidane in the first chapter of the book and fights him, so entranced by him. Then he meets Zidane much later and again is equally as entranced by her. And they team up to the chagrin of Remy, who is kind of like a loner. He's always been fighting by himself because no one really takes him seriously as being possibly half vampire. I just really like Remy as a character. He's such a awesome character to root for. None of the other Reapers like him because he might be half vampire, even though he does 3 times the amount of work and gets none of the glory. It's really cool because the politics in this book, they're not human politics. It's all the vampire politics and the different courts. There's 8 courts. I don't even know how to describe all of them. Like, they're very detailed in the book why each court is different. It's a little complicated, so I'll like spare you and not spoil that much for you. But it's so engaging. It's easy to read. The dialogue is amazing. I love these characters so much already. And so that's all they're doing right now. They've started off like visiting other villages outside of the city of Illyria and trying to figure out the source of the rot. And there's a murder mystery too. It's just really good. I really like this book. I have not seen anyone else talk about this, so happy to be talking about it because it's so good. And I honestly just picked it up because the cover is so sick. It's like action packed. The fight scenes are really great. I can't get enough of it. Me just saying earlier, like I just got done with an 850 page high fantasy book and I need a break, but I just love this. I love fantasy right now. I love reading adult fantasy. I'm just smiling so much because this has been so fun to read. And I don't want to jinx myself. I really hope it keeps momentum up until the end. I'm exactly halfway through and it doesn't seem like it's gonna slow down. This is a good ass book. Yeah, I plan to finish this before end of week, and I did just get approved for an arc, but I'll talk about that in a little bit because I want to focus on this while I'm reading it. Yeah, I will check back in when I finish this book. Hi! It's been another couple days, but I do have an update. I finished Silver Under Nightfall. This was great. This was so much fun. I had a blast reading this. Like, Remy. Wow. All the characters were to die for, especially like the 3 main characters. I adored them. It was really good. The world building, the fight scenes, the weaponry, the found family aspect. There was a little more romance than I was expecting. This slapped. This was really good. And the second book, is this going to be a duology? Definitely be picking it up because there's a little part in the back that's the first chapter, or first part of the chapter of the second book, which is Court of Wanderers. It literally picks up where this leaves off. So that's cool. It's going to be a duology, which is kind of a sigh of relief because I don't really need any more long series in my life. I hope it's just as good as this one. It's queer, romantic fantasy, but it's not overwhelmingly romantic. It's pretty brutal and violent. Like the fight scenes are really intense and gruesome. There's a lot of blood and visceral and entrails and like all that fun stuff. Yeah, I really enjoyed this so much more than I thought or expected to. This was so great. Next in my mood reading adventure, I just got approved for 2 arcs, and they're both relatively short, so I think I'm gonna do that. I don't know how I feel about picking up another physical, longer book, and there's nothing that's shorter on my physical TBR that's really calling to me. These 2 very much do. The first one is The Woods All Black by Lee Mandello, which is described as a trans horror set in 1920s Appalachia historical fiction romance. I mean, that sounds great and cool, and I haven't read a horror in a minute, so it's a novella, so it's like 160 pages, so I think I can read that today. The next one is The Skin Was Once Mine and Other Disturbances by Eric LaRocca. Have not been in a short story mood in quite a while. I have really just wanted to stick to much longer stories, but I absolutely loved, and it's so weird saying this because I know this book is so disturbing. It's so disturbing. I absolutely loved Things Have Gotten Worse Since We Last Spoke. That was such a wild ride. So if there's anyone's short story collection, it's definitely Eric LaRocca's because I think he can pack a lot of a punch in a short story. And yeah, I'm excited. They're both more horror leaning, and it's been a minute since I've read some horror. All right, here we go. After I had such a first book stinker and I really liked Silver and Nightfall. Like I'm hoping these will. I'm gonna get jinx myself. I might jinx myself. I'm gonna go get my cozy chair with the dogs and read The Woods Are All Black. Check back later. Okay, I'm about 50% through. I don't know yet. I don't know. For a book that's a little bit over 160 pages, it's reading a little dense. It's not flowing as the pacing just feels off. It's not flowing as quickly as I think a book of this size should probably be going. So Leslie Bruin is the new nurse, a trans man. He's constantly misgendered as soon as he walks into the town. You know almost immediately that how the town feels about him. And they don't hide it, especially the preacher and his congregation. He kind of is one of these like backwoods Appalachian like gothic type of, like think of it like is like reminiscent of something like Ethel Cain would sing about. Honestly, there's kind of like this mob mentality going on with the preacher at the forefront pointing at him and saying that he's a failed woman and he's a disgrace and he's a disease upon their town, and women should be wives to their husbands and obey and not work and not be in authoritative positions. There's this young trans man, I think he's 18, who's also a target in this story. I don't really know a lot about him just yet. His name is Stevie. Him and Leslie have crossed paths a few times, and he's just been like beaten, and like they're trying to get him married off. To them, that will be a way to make him a docile woman, which so yeah, that's kind of the atmosphere at the moment. Is Leslie's trying to do his thing and inoculate the town from like whooping cough and typhus, care for any of the new mothers there, and just offer his services as best he can under, I think it's the Frontier Nursing Service, which I didn't know a lot about. It's really interesting. But so far there doesn't seem to be a lot of horror. It's mostly just these uptight religious men and women casting a lot of judgment openly, led mainly by this preacher. I just expected a little bit more, maybe a book that's packing a few different genres into it. I don't really feel like it's balanced, and I feel like the pacing just feels a little off. But who knows? I'm only 50% through. It's a very short read. I wouldn't say it's a fast read. I feel like I get a little distracted because it is a little meandering, but we shall see. By the time I check back in, I will probably be done with this. Okay. Man, this book. What? I don't even know how to feel about this book. I think because it's so fresh. I literally just finished it. I mean, I have some issues with it. Bummer, because I was really looking forward to this a lot. It was one of my most anticipated reads of the year when I first heard about it, and not reading this, having not read this. Hold on. Don't need a viewfinder. I don't need a viewfinder. I haven't read this author before, so maybe that was a mistake on my end. I don't know if their writing was for me. I kind of think this book was a little bit of a mess, honestly. The pacing wasn't great. Honestly, not a lot happens until the 90% mark, which is, in my opinion, is very late for stuff to happen in a novella. I mean, there's tension and stuff. The horror, I was expecting it to be like really horrific, like the setting and the revenge part of it, and it's so minimal. And it's so shoved into the last 10% of the book, and it makes what happens almost laughable because it's so like out of left field. I'm gonna put a spoiler right here because there's something in the book that really threw me off, and I have to talk about it. I'm just gonna like I'm not gonna say it out loud. I'm just gonna flash the little snippet here for like 3 seconds. So if you're not interested, look away. All right, 1, 2, 3. What? Why? It took a hard left turn. Not what I was expecting out of this book at all. So unfortunately, this was not for me. Which is, I mean, I know I'm trying not to talk about Goodreads ratings, but it has above a 4-star currently. I appreciate what the author was trying to do. I just don't think it was executed very well. I'm bummed, man. Another arc bites the dust. Ugh. It's like really excited about the setting and the horror element and the representation, the trans representation, but it just felt like a hot mess, and yeah, I'm bummed. I'm bummed. For such a short novel, it was a hot mess. Alright, I will move on to The Skin Was Once Mine and Other Disturbances, I guess. I don't know. Or should I just end the vlog? I don't know. I'm just like, I don't know. Here's what I'll do. I'll read the first story, and if it's good, I will keep reading and documenting. But, man, I'm mad. I'm pouty. Not a good like or love ratio in this vlog. I've only liked Silver Under Nightfall. Ugh. We'll report back later. I need to walk around the block or something. It's so pretty outside. I think I just need to go walk. Hi! I have great news. The first story in The Skin Was Once Mine was really good. So I'm gonna keep reading this. The Skin Was Once Mine, I think, was the longest story. I'm already almost 50, am I 50% through? 44%. I'm already 44% through, so I think that story was probably the longest. The first story, The Skin Was Once Mine, is about a woman who comes back to her family home after being away for, I think it's 20 years. Her father's just died, who she was extremely close to, but they hadn't really had much of an interaction besides a letter once a month. And everything she has paid for, and her mother, reading the main character's point of view. And according to her, her mother hates her, thinks she's a monster, and never wanted her to come back home, and if she ever did come back home, she would kill her. Very, very normal, healthy daughter-mother relationship there. So when her father dies, she goes back home for the funeral, and that's all I'm gonna say. And if you've read Eric LaRocca stories before, you'll know that it's way more than that. Things take a turn. Everything's not what it seems. It was creepy. Jaw dropped at like one point. I was like, ugh. Writing's really good, and I like highlighted some quotes. I'm gonna keep reading this. I have high hopes. Oh, thank God. But I will check in most likely when I'm done with this. Bye. Hi, little update. I did finish The Skin Was Once Mine. Overall, I really enjoyed it. First story, The Skin Was Once Mine, was the best of the bunch, maybe because it was the longest and I felt like the most developed of the short stories. Seedling, I think that was my least favorite. I think that it had too many similarities in like small details and setting to the first story, that it was just like, I don't know why this is right after the first story, and it was just kind of dull. All the Parts of You That Won't Easily Burn was really good. That was really creepy. And then the last story, Prickle, was really good too. So overall, I thought it was a really good short story collection. I think I will give this probably a 4-star, just because that second story really dragged the others down. But overall, it's great. I really enjoyed it. I'm so thankful for the arc and to Eric LaRocca and the publisher. And then you all know how I feel about The Woods All Black. I just felt for a novella it was trying to do a lot, and I wish it just focused on one thing and done that thing really well. I felt like it was a mess. And that one part, if you know, you know. The star of this vlog, Silver Under Nightfall by Richard Pecco. I love this. I love this. I can't wait to pick up the second book when it comes out in April. I just thought this was such a blast to read, and vampire fantasy is just, this was so good. Like, yeah, this was a lot of fun. And then my least favorite, this beat out everything. This is like my least favorite. Book talk, but you're in Blackbird. Again, maybe it's just a me thing. This is so broadly loved all over the internet. I just don't get it. I don't get the appeal. I hated the writing. I hated the character. And it's a bummer because I was so excited for this. I was so sure this would be such a great book for me. But have you read any of these books that I've talked about? Are there any releases that are upcoming that you're really excited about? What was the last thing you decided to mood read? Please let me know down below. And if you can't think of anything else to say, leave the book comment or books comment down below. I really appreciate the support. And as always, thank you for watching. Thank you for clicking. And I'll have a new video for you all soon. Bye!